and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. Picked off. Look out. Get that Manning, and it's Tracy Porter taking it all the way. Touchdown, New Orleans.
You're listening to The Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 33rd edition of The Pigskin Project. Very, very exciting week, very eventful week for us.
Roster cut down.
Yeah, absolutely. That was exactly what I was looking for too. Lots of big moves. The Eagles were very active this week.
Yes.
Somebody's kind of happy about that.
Love to see it.
Let's go ahead and dive into some weekly news, and then we have a huge announcement that we promised you guys as well. So just kind of keep updated with that because you're gonna want to. But anyways, let's start off with the obvious massive headline. Saints are trading defensive back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles. Ben, I want to know everything from your point of view.
All right, so break it down real quick for those who don't follow and those who aren't Eagles fans. Obviously, don't follow him as much as I do. But we had a starting safety, Anthony Harris. A lot of people probably know him with his time with the Vikings. He led the league in interceptions 2 years ago. And he was projected to be one of our two starting safeties. And roster cutdown day came. They cut him. I looked at it. I'm like, a starting safety, and we just cut him. I'm like, you don't just cut a starting safety like that. Which made me think okay, well, there has to be another move following. And I know there was a lot of rumors in terms of Chuck Clark, who is the Ravens, one of the Ravens safety. There was a lot of rumor about him being on the market and the Eagles showing interest. And I assumed that was the move. But about 5 minutes later, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson got traded to the Eagles. I was ecstatic. And then what we gave up for him made me even so much more happier. We gave up a fifth and a sixth, and we got him in a seventh back, which is phenomenal. It'll be weird to see how he fits in because for the first time in his career, he is playing safety. He was known for being like a slot cornerback. I'm pretty sure he spent 43% of his time in slot this year, and then the rest of that time as an outside cornerback. I think he played like 4 or 5 snaps at safety. But we made the move as a safety, which is interesting because we haven't seen him play that in the NFL. But I know coming out of the draft, he was viewed as a versatile guy who can either be that slot box defender that we talked about or be that single high. So I was super, super happy to see that. And then, it's hard not to talk about the next resulting move. The next day, we traded Jalen Reagor away to the Vikings, which is a little ironic, a little bittersweet because he got picked one pick in front of Justin Jefferson, as we all know, as a Viking.
What was your reaction to that move?
I was happy that it got traded, and then again, I saw the compensation, and I'm just like, fleeced again. We got a 4th and a 7th for him, so we got more out of Jalen Reagor, a dude that has disappointed all ever since he's been in the NFL. We got more for Jalen Reagor than what the Cowboys got for Amari Cooper. We got more for Jalen Reagor than what we gave up for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So it's a plus. And on my book, we gained more than what we gave up. Howie Roseman, I love Howie. There's pretty much no holes on this roster, at least in terms of starters. Best offensive line in the league, upgraded at the pass catching position. That defense looks scary with Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, one of the best slot cornerbacks in football, and Avonte Maddox. This team is scary. Super excited. The roster cutdown day was crazy. And kind of off topic, I don't know if this is in the script, but one of the biggest shockers to me was actually Amari Watts, who got cut by the Vikings, and he was their starting defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And ironically, I mean, we want to tell him where he went.
Yeah, no, go for it.
No, yeah. I mean, I know you're a little disappointed with who they ended up cutting to get him, but he ended up signing with the Bears, which is he's not quite your Akeem Hicks, but he's in the same nature of Akeem Hicks. So I think he's gonna slide right in there and fill that hole.
Yeah. So I do want to say, with roster cuts and everything, we're not covering exactly everything, because that's going to take pretty much a whole episode. But I want to cover, primarily the huge headlines. You covered pretty much 3 of them, but the Saints safety Marcus May was also arrested for aggravated assault with a firearm, which makes the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade look all that much worse. You want to talk to us a little bit about that as well?
Again, it's tough seeing that because, again, Marcus May, who is coming from the Jets, who was widely regarded as one of the most underrated players in football. So it was an awesome pickup when they made it, and their 2 starters. Their 2 starters would have been the Honey Badger and him. We don't quite know what the penalty is going to be for this. But I mean, it'd be hard to imagine that he's not missing at least 4 games, let alone, longer, which again is tough after seeing they traded Chauncey Gardner away and just a day later this happened.
Yeah, right. I don't even want to get into suspensions and stuff because we cover that so much.
Yeah.
It's almost an exhausting topic this this season. It's kind of ridiculous, but onto a more happy note, Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos and quarterback Russell Wilson have agreed on a 5-year, $245 million extension. I love it. But at the same time, it's also very risky.
I mean, I kind of understand the risk. I think he's a good quarterback. Definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league. I think he can, this year with the roster he has around him, I think he can jump back into being known as an elite quarterback, which is real nice. And you pay your elite quarterbacks this kind of money. So it's a little bit of projection, especially at his age. But I like it. I mean, you lock down quarterbacks like that. So I like it, but I think there's a bigger implication of this. And I know we talked about this with Matt a little off air. I think this is going to affect what Lamar is getting because Lamar's not happy right now. He wants, a Deshaun Watson contract, as he should because he's done more on the field as Deshaun Watson.
Right.
But he wants that, that fully guaranteed or almost fully guaranteed. But to this point, after that Deshaun Watson contract came out, with both Kyler's and Russ's, neither of them been fully guaranteed. So instead of Deshaun setting the market and the standard, I think he's more of an outlier. And I think that the standard is going to be what this Russell Wilson contract is. I wouldn't at all be surprised if he just doesn't sign a contract in the next 3 years. He plays out this year, gets franchise tagged. But if we were to see him sign a contract, I could imagine it would be around this $240 million that Russ is getting. Yeah.
I do want to say, if you're tuning in or if you're listening, although we have a few more headlines to get to, please stay tuned. I'm going to get a little controversial this episode and people are going to hate it, but I'm going to love it and it's going to be great. But anyways, so let's just kind of skim over. I want to skim over a couple. So Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin says he isn't ready to come to a conclusion with the starting quarterback competition, which is just kind of like, dude, you're running out of time. You need to figure it out within the next week. But at the end of the day, it's coming, so don't even worry about it. Lamar Jackson likes a tweet of himself in a Dolphins uniform. This one, I hate that I had to put this. This was like breaking news, everything. But it's like, dude, he's still a Raven. He's still going to play as a Raven. And if anything, it's just for leverage. I don't want to spend much time on it just because it's just that simple. The Jaguars are trading wide receiver Laviska Shenault to the Panthers. and the Panthers have been receiving trade calls for wide receivers Robbie Anderson and Terrence Marshall, who I would say the Bears should be on the phone right now trying to field something for a wide receiver. If you guys are new here, by the way, I'm a huge Bears fan, and I just need some kind of interaction when it comes to trade rumors like that. But when it comes to the Bears, let's go over something that I just want to see what your viewpoint is. The Raiders released a 2021 first-round tackle that they selected named Alex Leatherwood, who was then picked up from the waivers by the Bears. The front office, to me, has definitely said multiple times in a press conference that they're bringing in people for competition reasons, and it's strictly to try and keep it. If a rookie steps in and they do better than a veteran, they're not going to start the veteran because he has more experience. They're going to start the rookie because he looks better, and it's just like that makes sense. Not all coaches have that philosophy, Matt Nagy, but it's just, for example, I mean, you could say the same exact thing. I mean, at any position. You could look at last year's results with Justin Fields. I am 1,000% willing to say that Justin Fields would have had a better 2021 campaign had he been able to practice with the ones at some point before he came in to sub in for Andy Dalton. So if you bring in a guy like Alex Leatherwood, I feel like 1,000% Alex Leatherwood is able to, come in and be that guy. But also, if it doesn't work out, you claimed him off of the waivers, man. You didn't give up anything other than a little bit of cap space, and you have more than enough of that.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
It's to the point that I've said all off season. It's aggravating. It aggravates it irks me. Just because, like, at the surface level, you look at it and you're like, they're making moves at offensive linemen. Finally they're going to give this guy some protection. But they've yet to actually give him something substantial. They haven't given him like a piece to surround him, which is really tough because I know looking back at last year, you kind of were hoping that Tatum Jenkins would have stepped into that role.
Which he's been doing better too.
Yes, he's been doing better. But Alex Leatherwood just isn't it. We knew at the time when he was drafted 17th overall 2 years ago that it was a reach. And then the Raiders called around the league to try to trade him. Supposedly, all 32 teams said no. So I guess they tried to trade him to themselves. But, no one wanted him. He got cut for a reason. You guys are the only one who put in a waiver claim for him. I just want to see something more for Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields, we'll get into it in a little bit, has the opportunity to be a good quarterback. I've never, shied away from that. But I want to, you got to be able to fully access the quarterback that he is. And with a trash offensive line, you just can't. But just out of the Bears camp, I'm just interested to kind of see where your head's at with this one. The biggest move that happened over the last 2 or 3 days that really shocked me in terms of the Bears was cutting Thomas Graham. That I would just love to see your kind of your thought behind that, because I know going into the summer people were like, he's the second safety. And going all the way from the second safety to being cut off the roster just interests me. He
played corner, but it's okay. He's on a practice squad. Which, I mean, he's vulnerable at that point. Somebody could pick him up easily. The thing is, I'm really high on him, and it might just be because I'm biased because he's wearing my football number. But at the end of the day, I think Thomas Graham, he has a high upside, but I think that he would be a good backup if, you can have that. I think he's definitely somebody you could bring from the practice squad onto the main roster. Say Kendall Vildor gets injured. I would say bring him in. Let's say, Vildor's out for half the season now. We have our backup in right now. Let's bring Thomas Graham off and, slap Vildor on the IR for a little bit. And then, just to see what he can do. If he needs to come in, he will. And then there's also Kyler Gordon. Our new prospect that's looked fantastic in the preseason, that I'm very excited for. That nickelback is going to be great. But yeah, I mean, in terms of roster moves, I think that it was just to make a little bit of room more for, I mean, there were a couple bigger cuts. I mean, Andrew Schofield that we got as well. We cut him. I mean, it's more than that. And somebody that I think has made substantial growth on the team that I was actually kind of low on at the start of the season, but now I'm starting to gain a little bit of traction in my mind. Larry Borum. I think he's done a lot better. We already talked to him before and everything. I've talked to him in person and everything. He's a great dude and he deserves the best. But at the same exact time, you got to do what's best for your football team and everything. But if he's doing good, why cut him? And that's exactly what they're thinking. He could potentially start. As far as the secondary, though, going back to the Thomas Graham thing, I'm not concerned. The secondary looks fine, and it's not, it's definitely gotten better from what I've seen in the preseason and everything. I can tell you now, I've watched film, bought that NFL Plus subscription, and was able to watch some rookies, perform. Definitely recommend that. Not sponsored or anything, but definitely recommend that to anybody that has the extra $10 a month or $80 to spend for the year. If you want some coaches film, get a hold of that. But, I definitely like what I see there, but I think the main thing to look at on this Bears team is the amount of injuries that they have been having as far as their wide receivers. I think they put 2 wide receivers on the IR. I think that's Tajay Sharp and N'Keal Harry. You have to think, are they going to make a move for one at some point? You have Odell Beckham. That's going to be, I mean, I understand Odell Beckham is a long shot. Don't get me wrong. There's several teams that have interest in him when he's healthy. But you got to think, I mean, that's got to be at least a thought in the Bears' mind. You've got several different veterans on the market as well that they could potentially pick up too, to maybe try and help them out at that position. And you have size too. And trade block, that could be utilized. I mean, Robbie Anderson could be an option, even though he's 29 years old, but he's 6'3" and he's a bigger guy that can help out your team. So I think there's a lot of upside. And the crazy thing is too, and nobody can shake me on this. So let's say, okay, because Braxton Jones has done great, right, on the offensive line. Cody Whitehair is a consistent hog. Like, that guy is great. Lucas Patrick, even though he's injured right now, that reaction's very appropriate. It's a very meh player, but he can get the job done. It's just not going to be top level. Oh my God, he's going to be on the NFL's top 100 at the end of the season. He's going to get the job done. Your right guard, you're moving Tevin Jenkins to. I've been hearing that he's done a fantastic job, and I've watched a little bit of film on him. Haven't done too much. He's done a pretty decent job. I think that he can go to war for Justin Fields. And then you have Larry Borum, who can fit at right tackle as well. And I mean, he's made a growth as well. So, if that offensive line group at least works out to the point to where Fields can scramble out and have a little bit of time, or Fields can sit in the pocket for maybe just 1 second more, he's gotten better at releasing the ball a little bit quicker. So if you have a big name signing for the Bears, I'm expecting a lot more positive media attention for the Bears, because, oh my God, they have Odell Beckham Jr. Now they're going to make the playoffs. That's what I hate about the media with football and everything. Their highs and lows and everything. It's ridiculous. But without staying on my Bears for too long, because that's my thought about the team right now, I'm not worried about the secondary, to answer your question. I'm more worried about the wide receiver room and, how the offensive line is going to shape out. But we have a lot of news surrounding Commanders rookie running back Brian Robinson, who has been shot multiple times in a robbery attempt, but the injuries are non-life threatening. If you guys remember, I guess we could talk about this now.
Yeah.
So we're going to wait for the fantasy update later, but we're just going to go ahead and talk about it now. So, first off, if you think that your fantasy league matters more than a player's life, you're wrong. But we're very happy that he is okay. He will play again. It's just not going to be soon.
We don't know when. Yeah.
it's just he will play within the season, I believe. I'm hearing very positive things following surgery and everything. I'm definitely looking at past the bye week.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they have a bye week in week. I think it's 13, could be 14. But I think that's when they'll probably target him to hopefully be back. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back a little sooner. But right now, I mean, he's in the facility, which is a good thing. But obviously, there's a little bit of a ways to go on that. So, but you know, again, what matters most is that he didn't die. He's recovering well, at least from all reports. And it's a scary thing, especially thinking about what happened with Sean Taylor. Especially being out of that fan. So you just got to be happy that he's okay.
For sure. But following that, I've decided we should probably update you guys on the trade offer that we had submitted. So we did stay up a little bit later after the show, and I responded to Ben's trade that he was able to, we were able to work out. I believe I was getting Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Kyle Pitts, and Kenny Walker for Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Mike Williams, and Chris Olave. Ben will be back momentarily. But, so that was the trade. Unfortunately, after being submitted, after everything was already all good to go, the trade was all good. We actually, we agreed it and everything. We agreed upon it and everything. But unfortunately, after we submitted it and everything, it got vetoed literally the morning that it was supposed to be processed after, because the night that we had talked about it, the night that we recorded, the night that everything was put out, Brian Robinson was fine. He was, but that day that it was accepted, he got shot. It's like crazy bad luck. Unfortunately, that just has to happen. But the trade got vetoed. And this is something that made us mad. The rest of the league voted on it anonymously. It wasn't, something that we had done, something that anybody had talked about, anything like that. So the trade got vetoed, and it was unfortunate, but it happened. It was technically a 3-team trade.
Technically, yeah. For those wondering, I think I personally think people take name value way too much into detail. The thing that sucks about the whole Brian Robinson thing is like a few hours before he got shot, he was named the starter.
Yeah.
As I've been trying to pound the table to tell people to stop drafting Antonio Gibson, finally came through. He got shot, so I expected him to be good. Big, high on DeAndre Swift. I was a big fan, but as you guys can see, I'm giving up probably the second best fantasy tight end. That would have been painful. So I was gonna flip Chris Olave to Matt, who you guys know and love, for Pat Freiermuth, which still kind of ended up happening. If you want to tell them what we ended up deciding on.
Yeah. So, after the trade got vetoed and everything, we decided. We both kind of got screwed out of it, but at the same exact time, we can't really do anything about a player getting shot. So, Ben was like, "Hey, look, I'll still make the trade for Olave so we can flip him to Matt, and you can get your tight end for Pitts," because that was pretty much the whole reason why we had the talk in the first place. But after CeeDee Lamb was added to the trade, that was the big piece for me that pushed it across. But Pitts aside, I still got Pitts. Ben got Olave, and then Freiermuth, I'm assuming, right? Did you guys get that trade processed yet or no?
No, he just told me he couldn't do it. Just like right now. Like, I'm not kidding. I just read it.
So for those wondering, we did have this set in stone. So that was like the whole.
Okay, so for those, I believe Pitts was obviously second best. I wouldn't trade Pitts for Pat straight up. Felt bad that the trade didn't go through, so I told him like, "Hey, I'll do this for you," because I thought I was going to get Pat Freiermuth in return. Matt told me, I said, "Hey, like if I do this, you got to promise me I can get Pat in return." He just told me like a minute ago he can't do it, which is a shame.
Wow. Anyways, so that's unfortunate. Not entirely sure what he's going to do with that situation now. Overall, pretty crappy situation. It's crazy how life can affect fantasy football in a way that is just outside of football as well. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. Unfortunately, things happen.
Boys, real quick, scared me. I just texted him. For those who don't know, still having trouble with my mic. So I'm still doing this on my phone. We still don't know what's wrong with my computer. My computer's fine. It just no audio wants to come out of it, whether that's headphones, computer microphone, my nice fancy podcasting microphone. None of it wants to work. So I've been recording on my phone. I don't know what you see when I cut in and out.
It's like black. You're fine.
Oh. But I just texted him like, bro, you're kidding me, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm just playing with you.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's scared. I would have been living.
So without further ado, guys, we got a big update on the show. Not anything, you know, super crazy. We are moving our show weekly to Wednesday nights at 9:30. So for those that, you know, didn't know, before we actually broadcasted the game, the podcast live, we recorded on Wednesdays. I had Thursday to edit, and then Friday we put it out. Now through, you know, StreamYard, sorry, Streamlabs is another platform. Through StreamYard, we're able to do this. So shout out to them for that. But they make it super easy on me. And for that, I'm able to do it. Not only that, but our schedules and everything, we're trying to make this work better. And not only that, but every Wednesday night, that gives you a little bit of a preview for what's about to happen for Thursday night football and, you know, Sunday nights and afternoons, stuff like that, just to prep you for what's going on. We were, you know, I was planning on doing our predictions for the first week this week, but now that we're moving it to Wednesday, fully expect that to happen now. So like, you know, as far as just our, you know, big, you know, game by game predictions
weekly, yep.
Which, I mean, you know, we are doing schedule predictions and everything still. We're finishing that today, actually. And then, but next week's show, what I'm planning on doing, and just to give you guys a little insight, just because, you know, we like the loyal people that still stick around since the beginning. What I have planned, Ben, you might not even know this because, you know, I plan out some stuff behind your back and it's cool.
That's okay.
Since we have all of the schedules predicted, I'm going to create a bracket based off of our rankings and, you know, where we put teams on their overalls, and then be like, this is what the playoffs would look like if everything mapped out the exact way that we told everybody that it would happen. I regret a lot of things that I said. I had the Jets going 10-7, so that was stupid. But yeah, so I mean, just stick around for that episode. Next week's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, this is going to be a great week, so stick around. But talking
about the Jet, I was going to say, talking about the Jets, I feel like that's a perfect segue into the next segment.
So what I want to do, just because this is severe controversy, second year quarterback rankings. I feel like this is a controversy in ways that people don't expect from me. what I would like to do is rank the second-year quarterbacks based off of our expectations and predictions for how they're going to do this upcoming season. Not careers, but this upcoming season, the 2022 campaign. Who's going to do the best? Ben, do you want me to give my list first, or do you want to give yours?
I would love to give my list first because I kind of want to get my list off of off my chest, and I kind of want to sit back. And I don't know what your list looks like. Again, as you guys know, we like to obviously we have a schedule planned out for how we want to do the podcast. But outside of that, we like to like kind of keep each other surprised. So I have no clue at all what this man's list looks like.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty straightforward. Trevor Lawrence, he's QB1. I've kind of always harped on it. I understand he didn't have the best year, but I'm still on the T-Law train. I think he's QB1. This might surprise you. I didn't want to put him here, but I'm just going down the list. Everything that we've heard from Mac Jones scares me. We'll get into a little bit of another quarterback that scares me a little bit, but I have to put Justin Fields at 2. That's where it is right now. The news out of Foxborough scares the living heck out of me right now. There's he's not been able to develop as much as Mac Jones hasn't had a good offseason. He hasn't looked very good. There's conflict. They don't Matt
that
Patricia,
pick against the Raiders was just so bad.
Yeah, he's not looking good. No. And it's funny because people are, riding this hype train. I wouldn't be surprised if he's worse this year than he was last year.
He'll regress. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, I have him at 4. I have Trey Lance at 3. I would have wanted to put Trey Lance. Honestly, want to put Trey Lance at 2. But the thing that scares me that I kind of wanted to save to hold off talking about until here is old Jimmy Garoppolo restructure. They restructured him. He's back with the team. And most of his contract is incentive-based, which makes me think they're not quite
as confident
as they want to be in Trey Lance. Because if it was incentive-based, there's no reason, if Jimmy was it's confusing to me.
That week 1 matchup looks a heck of a lot more intriguing now, doesn't it?
No. I'm sorry. No, I can't get behind it. I think their defense is going to be phenomenal. I think that defensive line is just going to – I think if the 49ers sack Justin Fields 4 times, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't.
4 times in one game. That's 1 per quarter.
That's a lot.
That's fine.
I think that's more than what you think. But so with all that, I have Trey Lance at 3. Mac Jones at 4. And I'm going to kind of give the cop-out answer. I'm not ranking Zach Wilson even on this list. I'm not putting him at 5. I'm just giving him an NA just because I thought he was in for a breakout year this year. They improved on their offensive line. They got him more weapons. He has another year to develop. The last 3 or 4 games of last season, he started looking good. But then he got hurt. We don't know when he's going to be back. I wish I would have been able to see more, so I'm kind of just putting him in the NA list right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he finished the year as the second best quarterback. But yeah, so just one more time, T-Law, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. That's probably bold. People probably don't like that, but that's okay.
Let me look up this really quick. I'm trying to find the injury update.
That's hard for me to say as well because I love Trey Lance. It just that concerns me a bit with everything going on with Jimmy G. So
I will say, I'm no doctor, but I'll just say Zach Wilson's going to be back by week 3. No chance
absolutely.
He's not. So with that being said, I'll give my list. Trevor Lawrence at 1.
Yeah.
They did nothing but improve that offense for him. He has no reason, in my opinion, to fail. And if he does, that's when you start to panic about Trevor Lawrence. Number 2 is Trey Lance, strictly because I think that here's the thing. I couldn't put Justin Fields at 2. I couldn't fathom that idea. Fields,
I think
and
he looked really good in this past preseason game.
Dude, Fields looked insane. I just want to. Okay, hold on a minute. Let me talk about Trey Lance first, and then we could just,
Yeah. Yep.
So Trey Lance, I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He looks a little stiff. I watched film on him as well, and it's just like, okay, I need to make a correct assessment on Trey Lance. This is why I feel like the Bears have a chance. That secondary improved. There's still Robert Quinn on that defensive line. You have Travis Gibson that I will 1,000% die on this hill. He will do fine. I feel like Justin Jones is a great defensive tackle that you can use on that line. I can justify this team. I feel like that defense is going to mature if everybody stays healthy. That's a big part. But, if everybody stays healthy, that defense will finish top 10. And so, I mean, they finished top 10 last year. They lost their best player, but he didn't play half the season anyway. And then their second best player, which, I mean, arguably Akeem Hicks, I guess, right? Or no, Roquan Smith. I mean, he's still on the team. But Akeem Hicks, I mean, he's pretty good, but he played half the season. It's like, what are you really losing out of those guys? I've already made those points on this podcast before. So, as far as getting pressure to that young quarterback, they're going to scheme him up just like Justin Fields is being schemed up in Chicago. They're going to scramble outside just, because he's a mobile quarterback.
But their offensive line is significantly better.
So he can sit in the pocket and do what he needs to do. Debo is what scares me about that offense. Literally, if it's not Debo, then anything else would lead me to say I'm taking the Bears week 1. Shock, whatever. But I am fully confident in Trey Lance succeeding at some point this season. I think that he's going to have a positive takeaway from the season. And so for that reason, just because of the help that's around him, it's almost like I wouldn't say Jalen Hurts situation completely, but almost the same book. Like, dude, we set you up for success before you even got here. Like, you can't fail here.
Yeah. Real quick, in terms of Justin Fields, I meant to make this point. There's a video me and you talked about on the Bears rebuilding, and how they're going to go about that. Honestly, we'll get to this certain player when it comes time for college corner. But I would love to, and I know this is going to hurt for you to say, I'd love for you guys to win like 4 games to put you in big position to get an offensive lineman.
Okay.
Because I think Justin
Jesus
Fields,
Christ.
yeah. I think
dude.
Justin Fields is going to show. I put him at number 2. I think Justin Fields is going to show what he needs to show to
He's that
deserve
guy.
his 3rd year.
He is that guy.
But
I
think it'd be awesome, as we talked about, not getting pieces on the offensive line. There's a very specific left tackle that I'm a huge fan of. We'll get to him. But also you guys have $100 million in cap space, which allows you to sign a big name free agent target for wide receiver pass catcher. So, I mean, almost
trade and sign the guy. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So I think you guys are in great position. If you guys lose 4 or 5, or if you guys win 4 or 5 games, put you guys in perfect position to draft this certain player that I'm talking about a little later on. And then also put you in position with $100 million to sign a big agent wide receiver, which almost immediately, that's the 2 best ways to help your quarterback get an awesome wide receiver and draft a young offensive lineman. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I just think it's completely unbelievable when people are, I mean, dude, the guy's played 1 season in the NFL. And it was it literally took him a few games to get accustomed to the receivers he was playing with because his stupid head coach didn't want to practice him with the 1s. In fact, he was practicing with the 2s and the 3s at times. It's like, how is this guy going to, form any kind of connection with Allen Robinson, right? The biggest wide receiver on the field that's going to get you into the end zone. Cole Kmet, that number 1 wide or tight end, right? Or okay, I guess Jimmy Graham was the number 1, but like either way, I mean, he has nothing established. So you're just gonna throw him into the fire week 3? I mean, I totally get it. Like that was the right move, but like, you're just gonna do that and then just be like, oh yeah, no, he sucks. Like, no, at the end of the day, I mean, okay, yeah, here we go. Somebody commented, Fields is that guy. Polls
Yeah,
may still
absolutely.
Polls still may be time to trade Robert Quinn if the young guys start to show out. Dude, Robert Quinn, he's old, might not have that much trade value, but the thing is, Fields is that guy. I don't care who. I mean, dude, Bryce Young's available, CJ Stroud's available. You could throw him away. I'm totally okay with Justin Fields being my quarterback for the next 10, 15 years even. I'm cool with it. This kid has shown, and I'm calling him a kid because he hasn't been in the league that long. I know he's older than me, so screw you if you have that mentality. But Fields, he's shown the initiative to be a leader on this team. He's shown the initiative to stay in the gym, be the first person in the gym and the last person out. Same exact thing on the field. He is a leader on the field, first person on the field, last person off the field. I've seen it in person. Training camp was a blast, and it shows you exactly how much of a grasp he has on the people of Chicago. This might be the very first franchise quarterback the Bears have actually had that has been surefire. This is that guy. I put Fields at number 3, and here's the reason why. The way that the wide receiver core looks right now is just god-awful. Like, Darnell Mooney is the one guy, that's cool, but if you double him up with a safety over the top, and a very good cornerback in, let's say Jair Alexander from the Packers, right? He's good. I'm a Bears fan. I could admit that he's good. That's being mature as a Bears fan. Take notes, Chicago. Jair Alexander, he's good, but if you lock him up with Adrian Amos as well, you're not throwing to Darnell Mooney. I don't care what kind of aerobics he can do. Another comment rolling in. His whole mentality changed when he became QB1. You could see it late season when he started to emerge.
Absolutely.
I knew from the jump, as soon as that last game ended, when he started posting pictures of him in Georgia practicing in the winter, I could tell for sure that this was the guy. The second that I heard him and Mooney were working out in the offseason, Kmet as well, you've seen strides from him. This guy has been ridiculous. Go back and watch that Browns film. You have my stuff. Go in and watch that Browns film. You see Cole Kmet not only fight for the yards and his couple receptions, but he can also create separation to be able to get that. Dude, this is why I want him on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Another comment. Kmet will have to emerge this year if we want to be competitive, and he will, without a doubt in my mind.
I think he'll emerge, but again, I think you guys are still a 4 to 5 win team. I think Justin Fields shows enough to deserve a third year. I think we can expect that third year jump from him because, again, I think you guys are going to kill it in free agency. Hopefully, Poles can get someone to protect him a little bit. I think you guys make that jump going into the third year, and I think Kmet's going to be fine. Again, I don't think your guys' roster is enough to be actually considered competitive, but I think he's going to show enough that third year, next year, even though that schedule is going to be a little bit harder, that's when it gets, that's when it's go time, put up or shut up.
Yeah, and at that time, I'm hoping that things have changed to the point where they signed a free agent off the market or they traded for somebody, and then even a couple younger guys have made a stride. Velus Jones Jr. looks very good. All for it. But anyways, looking at number 4, this is where it gets controversial because right here, what you're saying is probably Mac Jones, right? Putting Zach Wilson there. Give me Zach Wilson in New York. Because look at that wide receiver core.
Exactly.
Give me the Jets wide receiver core 20 times out of 10 over the Bears, right? Absolutely. That guy is set up to succeed. Look at the running backs that he has to deal with. Michael Carter and Breece Hall. That's a great 1-2 punch. You have a couple receivers that I believe, one's a power back and then one can catch passes. That's fine. Or both of them can catch passes. It's also fine. But the thing is, also they added CJ Uzama, maybe take note of that. Yeah. But Zach Wilson is in a position to where he can succeed this year, and it's very possible that he will. I'm gonna move on to my next 2 just because who's the Jets tight end? CJ Uzama, yeah. And then my next 2, just to run them off. I know we're kind of taking up a lot of time here. Mac Jones is my number 5. because Bill Belichick's his coach. Otherwise, not really that high on him this year. He sucks.
Nope.
And he's confirming everything that I said in the offseason and everything. This guy is not as good as people advertise him to be.
Exactly.
Davis Mills at 6 by default. I'm sorry, buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, but at the end of the day, you're just not that guy right now.
Yeah.
Lovie Smith, though. Love him.
Real quick, this isn't even a Bear-centric podcast. Again, we pride ourselves on, kind of being unbiased. Real quick, actually, I want to pick your brain on kind of the Demont, the news about Demont, maybe not fitting in the offense, and Khalil Herbert doing better. And before you say your piece, I think I want you to say your piece and we can move on. But real quick, it's been what I've been saying all offseason. I don't think it's a matter of whether he fits in the offense or not. I just think they're trying to put this out now and early. So when it comes time to sign him in the offseason, they could be like, hey, look, we told you he doesn't fit the offense. But real quick, I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
Trade him.
Yeah.
I love Demont. I love his personality. I love him as a player. Trade him. Trade him right now. Trade him with a pick.
Yeah.
For a wide receiver. Trade him with a pick for a higher pick. Give me a 3rd round pick. Give me,
This is strictly hypothetical. Again, this is just something that I've thrown out here. We've seen coming out of Steelers camp too, that George Pickens, reporters are saying that he might overtake Claypool as wide receiver too, which would be really, really fun because then at that point Claypool's going to be like, hey guys, I want some more targets. I don't want to be here. Which I don't think Demont would. Steelers have no reason to want Demont. But just right now, again, I don't know anything. Just I'm looking at the landscape of the NFL. I think, and he would be an awesome fit alongside Darnell Mooney too. So you guys could end up trading the Steelers wide receiver, not quite the guy that you thought, but that would be fun to see. I would love to see that. But anyways.
Think about it too. What we should be doing right here, I'm sure a big name GM is doing. Let's look at the 2024 free agents, right? Because let's say this offseason they end up trading for a wide receiver, or let's say that they even trade for him this season. Let's look at some of these players that are a little bit younger, just trying to fit, the mold, right? So let's see. Jalen Reagor, who wants him? But he's only 23, almost 24 years old right now. Let's see. I'm just trying to scroll through it. Marquise Brown is going to be a free agent then. T. Higgins, that would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Michael Pittman. He's 26. Chenault. Let's see. Chase Claypool's 25, almost 26. Denzel Mims. He is a name that we forgot to mention in the news. He's on the trade block right now. Trade for him. What are you doing? Yeah. Brian Edwards. Gabe Davis even. That'd be cool. He's not even 25 yet.
I'm all for Gabe Davis.
But the thing is, my point here is, that's pretty much everybody. Even Donovan Peoples-Jones. Give me him. I love that guy.
baby.
Yeah. But anyways, so those are just options. And if you were to trade for them, you don't have to give up too much because that's not a crazy significant name. But I believe, if you are getting rid of Monty for a potential rental, why not give it to, look at Buffalo, dude. How scary would Buffalo be if they trade for David Montgomery? I'm not saying that they're gonna, I'm not saying they're gonna give us a wide receiver. If it's giving us Gabe Davis, I think that's stupid on Buffalo.
It's a steal. Yeah.
But I think if you give us a pick in return for David Montgomery, I'm not mad about it. We have Tristan Ebner that's shown a lot of promise in the preseason, and then you also have Khalil Herbert that's also done fantastic so far. So. In response to your question, I am for sure totally okay with getting rid of him. Yep. But with that, we are approaching the 50-minute mark, and we still haven't gone to our Pigskin Pick'em schedule predictions. To finish off the year, we're going with the Chiefs to start with. Do you want my controversial side again to pop out, or do you want to go?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right. Chiefs at Cardinals.
Stop it.
They are going to lose that game. Chiefs versus Chargers. They're going to lose that game. Chiefs at Colts. They're going to win that game. At Buccaneers, loss. Versus Raiders. They're not on a hot streak, but they'll pull this one off at home. They lose against the Bills. They lose in San Francisco. They win against the Titans, win against the Jaguars. They will, let's see. I say they lose against the Chargers. They're getting swept by the Chargers this year. They'll lose against the Rams, lose against the Bengals. They will lose in Denver. This is crazy. It's just a tough schedule. I mean, I'm sorry. Beating the Texans, beating the Seahawks, beating the Broncos, and beating the Raiders. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the season for me.
Wow. So you don't even have them going 500?
No.
Or above 500?
It's a tough division, and they've got a crazy tough schedule. I mean, it all comes down to what teams I would pick over this one, and their offense downgraded. Their running game hasn't impressed me so far. It's obvious that they're going to be doubling Travis Kelce. And I mean, who's their other receivers other than Juju? Like, you bring a safety, another
Sky
safety,
Moore?
and a Sky. Okay, Sky Moore. But we've said on the podcast before, you can't make a team better immediately and call them better because of a rookie right now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen what Sky Moore has done in the preseason other than the game that we went to, and even then, I really feel like he didn't really make much of a name of himself then. So that's why I'm going 8 and 9 in a tough division. So
yeah, wow.
Your turn.
Again, I have the Chargers winning it. I have the Buccaneers coming in second. I just think it's a tough division as a whole, though. We know everyone knows how I feel about the Cardinals. Chiefs are winning the Cardinals. Chiefs are beating the Cardinals. I do think I had the Chargers losing this game. I think they beat the Colts, so they open up 3-0.
Okay.
But then I do think they go on a 3-game losing streak. I do think they lose to the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, and the Bills. Tough to see, but then I think they go again on a bit of a little win streak right here of beating the Niners, Titans, Jaguars, and Chargers.
They sweep the Chargers.
So, wait, did I have them sweep? Oh, all right, never mind. I had them splitting with the Chargers. So they lose to the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm losing to the Rams, but I'll have them beat the Bengals, beat the Broncos, beat the Texans, beat the Seahawks, but then lose out to the Broncos and Raiders, having them go 10-7, which is ironic because I had, I'm pretty sure I had the Chargers winning 10 games or 12 games, the Buccaneers winning 11, and I had the Chiefs winning 10.
Did you say Broncos by chance? Is that what you mean by Buccaneers?
Oh, did I say Buccaneers? Yeah, I meant Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Looking back at last podcast, you said 13-4 for the Chargers and 12-5 for the Broncos.
Yeah, we can find that. Yeah, well, okay. I guess I was off by one.
Well, let's see how the Raiders pans out.
Yeah, this is tough.
So the Raiders. Let me go ahead and switch this up really quick. We got some comments. Let's see. Running backs are so devalued now. I think Monty is gone or re-signed cheap. Unfortunately, Poles said he could get us started this year in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You always every other year, I've said this on the podcast, every other year, draft a mid-round running back and never pay a running back. That's kind of just where I'm at.
So he says, I think losing Tyreek is going to hurt a lot more than people think. Yeah. And then that division is loaded. I totally agree. Losing Tyreek is going to be a big hit to this team. They don't necessarily get the deep shots that they normally use. But it makes, the Chiefs very easy to play against in Madden. So I'm cool with it. So anyways, Raiders schedule, at Chargers, they're taking an L there, versus Cardinals. They're going to win that game.
Yes, sir.
At Titans, beating the Titans, versus Broncos. Call me crazy, but they'll beat the Broncos at home.
Wow.
I like Max Crosby. I think he's going to get to the quarterback a lot more this year. At Chiefs, did I have them? Let's see. I had them winning this one. Hold on. Let me go ahead and fill that in really quick. Okay. Wow. Hold on a minute. Okay. Wow. That is stupid. Okay. No. Hold on a minute. Making an edit really quick. Chiefs are going 9-8.
Okay.
But yeah, so they'll lose against the Raiders will lose in Kansas City, but they'll beat Kansas City week 18 at home. So anyways, versus Texans, they'll win. Saints, they'll win. Jaguars, they'll win. Colts, they'll win. At Broncos, they'll lose. At Seahawks, they'll win. Versus Chargers, they'll lose. At Rams, they'll lose. At versus Patriots, they'll win. At Steelers, win. 49ers. That's a good game.
Yeah.
Raiders and 49ers. I'll take an L here. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins for the Raiders this year. Which
Chiefs last place.
Chiefs get last place, and I think I said that. Just saying.
Yeah.
Later, I mean before. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
11-6 for the Raiders. It's an easier schedule. That's what I'm saying. Quick question before we get started here. Is Carr you know what?
We'll
get to that.
Yeah, we'll get that.
That.
I'm gonna speed run through this because we're just I guess this is gonna be a long podcast. We have a couple more like bigger segments. Real quick though, I have them losing to the Chargers, beating the Cardinals, beating the Titans, losing to the Broncos, losing to the Chiefs, beating the Texans, beating the Saints, beating the Jaguars, losing to the Colts, losing to the Broncos again, beating the Seahawks, losing to the Chargers, losing to the Rams, and then beating the Patriots, Steelers, losing to the Niners and Chiefs. So that puts them at 8-9.
Okay. So Ben, that's going to do it for Pigskin Pick'em schedule predictions for this season. We are so close to football. Anyways, speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new – actually, it's not new.
It's not new.
If you've been here, you already know what I'm about to say. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time – for Ben's College Corner.
Oh my God. Like I said last episode, I'm excited for this to be back. I'm just as big of an NCAA fan as I am an NFL fan. I'm going to go to as many of these IU's games. I have IU season tickets actually. So huge college football fan. I don't want to spend too long on this. Next week is going to be a little bit bigger, and I can elaborate a little bit more on this next week. I just know we're almost at an hour right now. We still have a couple stuff left. Real quick, I just want to lay out my thoughts that I thought of, like kind of this first week of football. I mean, there were a few games. I think there were 5 games this week, or 5 games I think this week. So it wasn't like a crazy week. First like actual week of football is this week, but I kind of want to lay out my thoughts. Players that I'm super high on going into the season, and then kind of the 3 games to watch for this week. But real quick, I'm going to rank who right now, before week 1 like starts, or I guess week 2, however you want to look at it, my playoff prediction. I've changed it up from last time we talked. I think it's going to be Bama 1, Ohio State. Ohio State's going to be scary. I think this might shock a little people. I'm going to go USC. USC is they got, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Caleb Williams. They signed arguably the best wide receiver in the country, or got a transfer for arguably the best wide receiver in the country in Jordan Addison. I think Lincoln Riley's going to come in. He's going to bring that air raid offense to the Pac-12. I think they're going to shock people. Again, I think they have an easy conference. If they can pretty much sweep that entire conference and not win, you have to put them in the playoffs. And there in the 4th spot, I have it Georgia. That being said, that puts Bama, Georgia, in Ohio State versus USC. I think Bama wins. I think Ohio State wins. Ryan, you should be rejoicing in joy right now. That puts Bama and Ohio State.
Give me my rematch.
I think I want to go into my closet right now and burn my Michigan's everything Michigan for saying this. I want to throw up. Never thought these words would have ever come out of my mouth. I want to get sick saying this. Big Michigan fan. I want to throw up saying this. Ohio State wins the chip this year, I think.
Yes.
That's tough. Their offense is just really, really scary. I think you guys.
By the way, so I got this, that, you gotta stock up. I mean, opening day against Notre Dame.
Justin Fields jersey as well.
Yeah.
But that hurts me to say. It pains me to say as a Michigan fan. But I think you guys have either the top quarterback or second or third best quarterback in the country. Arguably either the second, third, or best wide receiver in the country, either the second, third, or best running back in the country. You guys have the best trio for sure out of anyone in the country. Kai, I do not want to hear it. That pains me. Kai's my roommate.
Love it.
Hurts. Don't want to say Ohio State's going to win it all. It pains me, though. But as far as this past week, there are two very big points that I want to make. Northwestern played Nebraska. Scott Frost, kind of 3 years ago when Scott Frost got hired over at Nebraska, people were like, he's going to be the savior. He's going to save, this team. He's going to bring us back to relevance. He was an alum from there. Scott Frost has stunk it up. Nebraska has not been good against Scott Frost. Scott Frost kicked a freaking onside kick up by 10 points. Scott Frost needs to go. Nebraska fans just kind of need to get a grip on themselves and come to terms with Scott Frost is not that guy to bring you guys back in relevance. But the other big point that I kind of took away, Vanderbilt has sucked. Vanderbilt's year in, year out has been the worst team in the SEC. But they played Hawaii. They absolutely killed Hawaii. But my big takeaway that is Mike Wright, who's their starting quarterback, I think has the potential, I'm not willing to say that, but has the potential to be the best quarterback in school history. He's killed it. Vanderbilt has not ever produced good quarterbacks. There's literally one quarterback that went to Vanderbilt that I can think of that was good in the NFL, Jay Cutler.
Good? I don't think he was good. I think he was just good enough.
Good enough. Yeah, good enough is a good term to use to describe Jay Cutler. But I think, obviously that's a big plague to be good. You have to have a good quarterback. So that's plagued them to not be able to have that. But I think Mike Wright very, very well could go down as the best quarterback. He's literally played one game, so I don't want to see and say that will what happened, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think he could bring this team back to somewhat relevancy. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish last in the SEC again this year. But I think, brings them back a little bit to, puts them in a little bit of a spotlight. They won week one. Mike Wright's going to be good this year. In terms of three players that I've been really high on, Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Again, let's look at the SEC. Their quarterbacks is just crazy in the SEC. I'm not going to say Will Levis is going to be the number one overall QB taken this year. Again, he's competing against guys with C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. Will Levis is my favorite quarterback out of this draft, though. I think Will Levis has all the Will Levis has all the tools to succeed. He took a big step this year while not throwing to pretty much anyone besides Wandell Moore. I really think Will Levis is going to be great. I think you need to watch out for him. Kentucky QB. In terms of tackles, my favorite tackle in this draft class I told you to think of is Peter Skrzalski out of Northwestern, who actually played this past week. I think he has all the tools. Northwestern's kind of turning into like this left tackle powerhouse because you look back 2 years ago, or I guess just a year ago, Rashawn Slater came out, his rookie this past year. Rashawn Slater absolutely killed it in the NFL. And I would not be surprised if Peter Skrzalski takes over that spot and goes in the top 10 this year alongside of his former guy there, Rashawn Slater. And the last one, a guy that I've kind of been on all offseason. If you guys have followed this podcast, you very well know when it comes term to skill position players, specifically cornerbacks and wide receivers, big and fast. And that's kind of a joke we had. It's kind of a shirt. Well, we've been joking. Want to put on my, give me a shirt so I can wear it. It's a joke we have ongoing off air. Big and fast. Those are my guys. Quentin Johnson out of TCU. I think he had like 650 yards this past season, given his quarterback has been god-awful, Max Duggan. But I just think Quentin Johnson just has all the tools to succeed. He's tall. He's fast. He has yak. He can go up and get the ball. He's. I would not be surprised if he's the third wide receiver taken off the board outside of Kenny I'm blanking on the UCLA kid's name. Kenyon Butte, I think is how you pronounce it, and then Jackson Smith and Jig.
I don't know.
Jackson
I just
Smith,
wanted to say that.
And then Jackson Smith and Jigba. Obviously, you got to talk about Jordan Addison. But Quentin Johnson, I absolutely love him. I think he's going to put teams on watch this year and say, "Hey, look at me." Obviously, didn't turn out for the past first-round wide receiver out of TCU. Hits a little close to home, but I think Quentin Johnson's going to kind of rewrite the narrative a little bit there. But in terms of 3 games to watch, I think the first most important game on this Week 1 slate is clearly Notre Dame versus Ohio State. People are very, very high on Notre Dame this year. I'm not as big on them as everyone else is.
If we lose that game, I'm just going to manifest it at this point. I think we're losing, but I don't know. It's fine.
Stop it. Ohio State's going to be dangerous this year. But I think that's going to be obviously that's team 2, and I think team 5. That's going to be a really, really good game to watch. In terms of number 2, I think Oregon versus Georgia. That's team ranked 3 and team ranked 11. Dan Lanning's first game as head coach there in Oregon. For those who don't know who Dan Lanning is, he was the defensive coordinator there at Georgia. And people are kind of talking about the culture he's going to bring. I really don't think Oregon's going to be that good this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost like 4 games. I think Georgia should hopefully run away with that. And then I think the final game that kind of piques my interest a little bit is Utah versus Florida. People are really high on Utah this year. Again, I don't think they're going to be the team coming out of the Pac-12. I already mentioned USC. But the other flip side of that, Florida's not going to be good this year. But Florida has a quarterback that, everyone's been putting on their watch list in terms of Anthony Richardson. People are, saying he might be the 3rd best quarterback in this draft class because outside of, Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, everything after that, and guys like Grayson McCraw, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Tyler Van Dyke. But people are putting Anthony Richardson lumped into that second tier. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see him go up against this high-powered Utah defense. So, again, hopefully next week I'll be able to talk a little more on this. I kind of rushed through this because it's, again, really long podcast. We're going on an hour and 10 minutes here. Just, again, that's just a little touch. Again, we're hopefully going more depth. But I'm super excited for this segment to be back. And I can't wait to talk to you about college football next week.
Let me give my little piece that I have. Who do you think is getting the Heisman then this season? Just for little predictions.
This is tough. I would not at all be surprised. I'm just saying. I think it's gonna be Will Anderson, edge rusher out of Alabama. He'll be the 2nd defensive player to ever win it, which puts him amongst top tier college players ever, which I already think he is. But yeah, I think Will Anderson, and obviously if he wins Heisman, he's winning, college defensive player of the year as well.
Yeah, I'm going safe pick, either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I mean,
that's right.
For the top 4 teams at the end of the year to make the playoff, I made 2 because I like a combination of 2 teams or 4 teams. I'm sorry. Defensive Heisman.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I like 4 teams. I mean, the top 2 are interchangeable. I think Alabama could drop one, and I think that game is going to be Texas A&M down the road. They play Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is very good in my eyes. But I have for my first bracket, I guess, it's Alabama at 1, Ohio State at 2, Clemson 3, Utah 4. But here's the thing. I think if Ohio State's able to go undefeated, then I see them going number 1. I see them moving up. Alabama would be number 2 in this situation, assuming that they do lose to Texas A&M in my prediction. But we're seeing a team that I think could go up as well. They've got a great historic head coach. This is Michigan. They're getting Michigan at number 3, and Texas A&M works their way into the top 4 after beating Alabama. But it just sucks because, you might be able to see, if there is a combination like that, you might be able to see Michigan go to 4 and Texas A&M going to number 3. So you get Alabama and Texas A&M rematch, Ohio State, Michigan rematch. That would be one heck of a playoff. But we promised we're still doing fantasy stuff this week. We got a comment earlier saying, is Carr a top 10 fantasy quarterback with Davante Adams? I'm not sure about that. What do you think?
He's right on the edge. I think he's right on the edge. Because in terms of top quarterbacks, you either look at the guys who can run the ball really well, or the one outlier in that group is Justin Herbert. No knock to Justin Herbert. I think he can run the ball fine. But I think the top 5 or 6 are very clear. Josh Allen at 1, and then after that, I think it becomes kind of subject. But I think Josh Allen at 1, we've seen what he can do with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. He can run the ball pretty well when he needs to. I think Justin Herbert's number 2. We've seen the weapons. I think he's the MVP this season. And then I think number 3, you can see guys like Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, guys like that. And then I think Russell Wilson's right after that. And then after that, I think you can make the case for a Derek Carr to be number 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Because, again, I think he has the weapons. Hunter Renfro's a very sneaky fantasy player. He's always, been a very solid, safe pick while producing very well. Obviously, they're getting arguably the best wide receiver in the entire NFL in Davante Adams. We've seen what Darren Waller can do. So I don't think you can go wrong taking him. Again, I think he's anywhere between that 8 and 12 range in terms of fantasy.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I definitely have him within top 15, but I don't think he would be top 10. But this week for fantasy, what we're going to be doing is just risers and fallers. So nothing crazy. I have 2 players for both. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break here. For my risers, I have Darrell Henderson, somebody that's, for sure. Cam Akers is questionable for week 1. And so with him, I think Darrell Henderson's got to be at least a riser for this week. Second off, unfortunately, but fortunate for them, Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. They're for sure risers just because they're moving up on the depth chart. Antonio Gibson, he's still a reliable guy if you need the flex. But I wouldn't put him at running back 1 or 2. For my fallers, you have J.K. Dobbins, who it kind of sucks. You have him on your team. I almost traded for him. But looking at who was that, Kenyon Drake, I want to say they picked up.
Yes.
I read a report saying that Kenyon Drake was supposed to get instant touches as soon as he comes in. So J.K. Dobbins is immediately affected. Here's the big faller. Here's the guy I don't have in my top 15. Aaron Rodgers, the two-time, or not two-time. I think he's won more than 2 MVPs. I don't know. Could be wrong. But back-to-back MVP, not in the top 15 of fantasy in my list. He just doesn't have the wide receivers to throw to right now. Christian Watson, I haven't really heard very much of going into the season. Not a lot of hype surrounding him. There's a lot less hype surrounding rookie wide receivers this season than I've expected. But there are a couple shiners. So, be on the lookout for, your George Pickens off a waiver wire or something like that if he hasn't been drafted. As we talked about previously, he's looking at that wide receiver 2 spot, taking that from Chase Claypool. It's all up to the guy that could be throwing him the ball. But I definitely think, no matter who it is, I think those guys will get it done. But yeah, those are my risers and fallers for this week.
All right. I'm going to start off a little negative so we can end out on this on a little bit more of a positive here. In terms of followers, you took the words right out of my mouth. In terms of J.K. Dobbins, hurts me to say he's on my fantasy team. Again, it's always tough to see a guy come off of injury and come right back in. Again, he tore his ACL last year. And then that pickup of, the nice thing about J.K. Dobbins was he didn't really have to fight for touches. Justice Hill was questionable. And then Mike Davis, come on. Gus Edwards was questionable. So that was a nice thing about him. But, like you said, they picked up Kenyon Drake. The report is, like you said, he's going to come in and get immediate touches, which is really scary. Another follow that I have is Michael Thomas. His injuries just scared the living heck out of me. Dude can't stay healthy. We saw him get injured in preseason. And I do think by the end of year one, Chris Olave might take that wide receiver 1. That might be a little bold. But I think Chris Olave is going to be really, really good this year. And then Trey Lance, already talked about him. That hurts me a lot to say because I've been on that Trey Lance hype train. I've said draft him if you can, and I still would. I just think the Jimmy news is a little concerning. And then in terms of my
bench
last
for right now,
and then in terms of my last faller or fallers, anyone on the Patriots offense. If you're on the Patriots offense,
don't touch them.
Yeah, that running back room is crowded in terms of Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. They drafted a guy, Pierce Strong, in the draft this year. So that running back room is crowded. Mac Jones hasn't played well from all reports. Matt freaking Patricia is calling plays. It's just not good. But in terms of risers, I can confidently say Isaiah Pacheco, yes. I have him on this list. I wouldn't be surprised if Isaiah Pacheco takes over Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year. By the end of it. I love Isaiah Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has kind of always disappointed. He's not been the player that they wanted. So by the end of the year, if Isaiah Pacheco's RB1, I would not all be surprised. Sticking with that Isaiah theme, Isaiah McKenzie has, in all reports, won that slot job down there in Buffalo. And kind of just whoever is in the slot there in Buffalo, because Cole Beasley took up 108 targets there out of that slot this past year. And obviously, I think some of that target share is going to go to Gabe Davis. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 65 to 85 targets put to whoever's in that slot. Again, Isaiah McKenzie's been the one that's rumored to win that slot job. In terms of riser, I think this has been just the biggest riser across the entire offseason. Damian Pierce. He's clearly RB1. I mean, if you could get him in the 5th round, do it. It's crazy to say, draft this guy in the 5th round. I might be higher even on him than I am Breece Hall, because Michael Carter has been rumored to still be RB1 in that offense.
I was going to say, I want to add Breece Hall as a faller. I think his ADP is dropping for sure. With Pacheco that you're mentioning, and Damian Pierce as well, having great off seasons and everything, or not off preseasons. Yeah. I think those guys are definite fallers for sure.
Absolutely. In terms of Damian Pierce, back on that again, I think he's been the biggest riser of anyone throughout this entire process. But kind of more specifically, he's clear RB1 in that group. The guy who was going to be pushing to get kind of touches in that would have been Marlon Mack, who we saw in the Colts offense, who was actually one of the biggest cuts in free agency. He got cut by them, which kind of shocked everyone. So I think he's clear RB1. The only time he's not going to be in there is when it's going to be 3rd and long, because Rex Burkhead's going to be in there. Rex Burkhead is a phenomenal receiving back. But, if you can get that Damian Pierce in the 5th, 6th round, I would draft him in a heartbeat over Breece Hall. But, yeah, I think he's been the biggest riser of everyone. So,
yeah. Without further ado, let's go into our favorite segment, if you guys are new around here, which, by the way, Edward Teach, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. However, this is not a new segment. This is our favorite segment of each week. If you guys are new here, we're playing Weddle, and this is just a fun game that we like to do, just for competitive spirit. But as of right now, Ben is up 6-5. He's been on kind of a hot streak, and I fully intend on breaking him out of that hot streak. So,
let's hope not.
Would you like the first pick, buddy?
Yeah. We'll we'll go with the first pick in terms of easy. Easy, we're not scoring against each other. For those who are new, we don't keep track of points when it comes to that. Hard mode is when it actually turns on. But yeah, we'll go with the first pick in this easy mode. And as we always do, give me AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, he's a okay, so this guy, mystery guy, is a wide receiver in the AFC that is older than 25, and his number is higher than 11.
Ooh.
And he's just a little bit taller than 6'1".
Someone comes right to mind.
I'm gonna go with Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not him though. Yeah, no. So it's in the AFC. I'm a little bit close for age. I want to say it's around the 29-28 range. But yeah, I was way off by his number, but he's definitely in the AFC.
So age is the concerning thing. I know this player isn't it, but the first player who actually popped into mind here, I'm going to be honest with you too, and with our listeners, I kind of want to draw this out until midnight because I don't want us to be halfway through our hard game and have a reset. I'm thinking Keenan Allen. That was the first guy who popped into my head, but I think he's a bit too old.
Oh no, I did Keelan Doss. Hold on one second. That'll be my guess. Okay. All right. Well.
Ooh, height is perfect.
Okay, so it's 6'2". All right, my bad on that. You can count that as my guess. You can go ahead and guess again.
So AFC North or AFC East? Stephon Diggs. I think he's a bit too old.
That's a good guess.
Yeah.
I can't. There it is.
There it is.
On Diggs, he is 28.
Oh, you're kidding! That's perfect. I was so close. So AFC North it is.
Let's see. I'm
Browns,
trying.
Bengals. I'm trying to think of. Oh.
No, it's not.
The first, I'll tell you, the first guy who came to mind, thinking of age-wise, is Tyler Boyd, but I think he's too small.
I was gonna say, give me Tyler Boyd just in case.
Yeah, I think he's a bit too small here, but yeah, I like the guess. The age lines up.
Okay, Tyler Boyd. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you look at
All
that?
right.
I didn't think he was 6'1", or he's 6'2". Didn't realize he was 6'2", but that was a guy who came to mind.
All right, let's do it. Hard mode.
Done. Quick. All right, I want the second pick there.
Okay, cool. So I'll go with Justin Fields. All right, so it's an NFC offensive player that is shorter than 6'3". He's a little bit older than 23, and his jersey number is not even close to 1.
Okay, so that's the East South, not QB. Russell Gage.
All right, so it's a wide receiver. 6 foot.
Probably 25. 24, 25.
Okay. Give me DJ Moore.
East or West? Ooh, that's a good pick.
Dang, I nailed the height, but it's
North,
just
south.
not it. Anyways.
North, South, and we knew it was the South. I don't know why you guessed.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I got the divisions mixed up. It's been a long day. Long couple days.
Marquise Hollywood Brown.
No.
I didn't realize he was that small.
So NFC East.
So he's 24. So he's either in the So he's in the East. He's 24, and he's a white. Oh,
Where is he? Am I stupid?
it's not.
What's
It's
his
not.
name?
It's not. He's. It's. I don't know. It's not him. I promise you. If you want to do the
Devontae
guess
Smith?
though, the number doesn't. He's number 6.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
So-
Cool. But
I shouldn't have said
It
anything.
could
I have
be.
someone who completely popped into mind. Number doesn't add up.
dang. Okay.
Wait,
So he is
hold
in
on,
the
scroll
NFC
down. Hold
East.
on. Scroll down. 23. You want to know who popped into mind? And it can't be him. Jahan Dotson was the guy who snapped into my head there.
Yeah.
But in terms of age, it can't be Jahan Dotson. It can't be Kadarius Toney either. Can't be Sterling Shepard due to age. Trying to run through this. Can't be Wan'Dale Robinson due to age. Why should be some Eagles wide receiver I'm forgetting about here?
Yeah. I do want to say Caitlin.
We'll do an Eagles wide receiver here. I don't. Quez
Watkins.
The age matches up.
Whoa.
Boom! Boom!
Wow. Okay. All right. That was
Nice
good.
job, baby. The age adds
Wow.
up. Yeah, I was
Sniped
thinking of
it
Eagles.
out of the water.
Because I'm thinking of. So what was happening is I knew it couldn't have been any of the Giants wide receivers. Sterling Shepard's too old. Wan'Dale Robinson's too old. Kenny Galladay's too old. Kadarius Toney is too young. Then you go to the Patriots and you think of not Patriots, the Commanders. You think of their two main guys in Jahan Dotson, too young. Curtis Samuel, too old. Scary Terry, too old. That left the Eagles. And Quez Watkins, I love Quez. He's our wide receiver 3. He's our slot guy, but he's kind of our field stretcher. I love him. That's what you call a snipe job, baby.
Ben's up now. He's won, I want to say, 4 straight.
In
it's
terms
kind
of
of crazy.
wins, not 4 straight, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, like legitimate wins without, 4 straight. So we're at almost an hour and a half. I think you know what? I say screw it. Because college football's back, I say we go against what we privately said and we go ahead and we do the last segment. What do you think?
Oh, you jerk. We can do it. I had a whole list made, and I scrapped it. And I'm like, we'll do it next week. We'll do it though. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So we're doing most rewatchable movies.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, I believe you have the first overall pick. Let me double check.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No. You guys you had Fruity Pebbles first last time.
Oh, did I? All right. Yeah.
And I did Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yep.
So now we're doing most rewatchable movies.
I think it's a clear number 1. I hope you don't take it.
There's just so many.
It's a clear number 1.
I'm going with The Sandlot.
Wow. I'm not even there's not a sports movie on my list, which is kind of ironic. I thought there was a clear number 1. I think it's Inception, because you have to watch it 2 or 3 times after you watch it that first time to actually get a grasp of everything. Or not Inception. Inception.
Can I make a rule in the middle of the draft, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just outlaw any Christmas movies.
Yeah. Any holiday themed movies.
Yeah, any holiday themes.
Yeah.
Because obviously, A Christmas
clearance.
Story is the most rewatchable movie of all time. Which, by the way, they're remaking it. I don't know if did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah. I had no idea. Anyways,
hopefully it's
the
first one. Oh.
Yeah.
Inception. No doubt it's Inception. So I have another movie that's next too. So.
Oh man. You know what? It gets me to laugh every time. It's a bold pick. I want it. Give me Shrek.
What? Oh my God.
It's weird, but yeah.
You should be outlawed from talking about movies putting Shrek number 2 overall.
Dude, you put Inception as your number 1 pick.
Inception's a phenomenal movie. Inception is phenomenal. Dude, you can rewatch it. Have you ever watched it in the first place?
I haven't. I'll be honest.
That's the issue. We're gonna snipe this job. I didn't want to do this, but I don't know if this was on your list. We're gonna do it. We'll save my other eye movie for my third pick because I doubt you're gonna go with this. But I'm concerned you would have taken this movie. That's why we're doing it number 2.
I like the new guy. Edward says that's a nice boulder. Yeah, I like that. Anyways,
we're gonna. Yeah. I don't know if you're gonna talk about this phenomenal movie. One of the best acting performances of all time. One of your favorite movies. One of my favorite movies. Give me The Dark Knight.
Ooh, I disagree with that.
Wow.
Because here's the thing, I'm gonna win this draft, and it's not gonna be close.
Bro, you had Shrek number 2. I don't want to hear it.
Give me Forrest Gump at 3.
Forrest Gump is one of the most overrated movies of all time.
Well, you're one of the most overrated football professionals. I don't know. I was just trying to go for a low blow.
That hurt.
Screw you for that.
Straight to the jugular. Don't appreciate that. Right. Noted.
It's a weird list, but no, I disagree with The Dark Knight because it's so long. Whereas
it's just such a good movie.
It's good, but is it rewatchable? And for me, I think it's got to have a good enough time. So, like, for example, the Avengers Endgame was a great movie, but it's not rewatchable in a sense to where it's like I can sit down and watch that movie all in one sitting and be like totally okay if I do that like 6 months later. It's a 3-hour long movie. I can't do that. But like Shrek, that's what, like maybe an hour and a half.
Stop. Shrek's a terrible movie.
You can't say that with a straight face.
I can't say that with a straight face. It's just Shrek is not
get your next pick in.
Shrek, rewatch Shrek and tell me it's a good movie. Anyways,
dude, it is.
Good for the meme culture. Interstellar. Matthew McConaughey is phenomenal. And I don't know if people have seen Interstellar, but if you see Interstellar once, you have to go back and watch it a second time. And if you watch it a second, third time, it's crazy how much stuff makes sense. I don't want to spoil Interstellar if people haven't seen it. But like the plot twist that makes rewatching it a second time phenomenal. Ooh. So Interstellar, I got an awesome fourth movie on the way too.
I'm going to ask your permission for this. Can I have a series? Because like it would be stupid to have like one.
Yeah, sure. We'll give it to you. Yeah, we'll give it to you.
I want Harry Potter.
Like Avengers. That's fair.
That's probably the steal of the draft right there. That one I can rewatch every single year from start to finish as far as book 1, movie 1, all the way to the end. Last movie.
No,
like
that's fine. Yeah. I watched Harry Potter. I wasn't a big fan of it. I'm just gonna be honest. It was okay. And it's not. It was okay. I'm sorry.
You're good. I mean,
Matrix at number 4. Phenomenal movie. And then I have a series coming up last. If you get a series, I get a series. I'm sure you can guess what my series is gonna be. Arguably the biggest series in all of movie history.
But it is a draft, so I could steal it from you.
No, you don't get 2 series in a row, my friend. 1 series rule.
All right.
You can take the movies, but I'm going to take the series, so it'd be useless at that point.
I'm going to take one that's along the same lines. I'm pretty positive we're on the same page, but I'm taking Monsters, Inc. as my last pick.
Wow. No, I don't. Not along the same lines. Were you thinking of Toy Story?
Yeah.
No. I was actually thinking of something even bigger, something that was a culture setter. With the 5th pick, I'm going Star Wars.
I was never a Star Wars guy.
Wow.
But I never really sat down and watched them, I'll be honest.
And just real quick,
All
the Ben's College.
He had to check something. There you go.
Oh,
Anyways,
can you hear me?
All
right, bouncing back to Ben's College Corner. I just want to make sure I got this right. But Penn State beat Purdue 35-31. Adrian McCollum looked phenomenal. He only had one passing touchdown, but he had 350 yards. Sean Clifford Versailles. Sean Clifford had 284 yards, which is fine, but he had 5 touchdowns. So it's going to be fun.
Good
Big
stuff.
10 football's back. I can't wait for it. Football's back. We're just a week away from today, which is Thursday. So a week away from today to see football back. College football's back. And, we started this. We started the podcast midway through the season last year.
Our first week one together.
Yes, it'll be our first week one together, and it's gonna be so much fun to cover the season. And we'd love to have you guys alongside the ride with us the entire season. We love your guys' support. We thank you guys for the support. And again, can't wait to cover this season with you guys and with you more specifically, Ryan. It's gonna be a fun season.
Yeah, this is going to be great. What I want to mention before anybody leaves is that, we got a great show lined up, but just a reminder from here on out, because today is Thursday, September 1st, we are going to be recording and broadcasting live starting Wednesdays from this point going forward. So what I would do just to kind of keep you on your toes is set that notification bell to on. That way you guys can get notifications for when we go live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, stuff like that. We do appreciate the amount of viewers this broadcast so far. I mean, outstanding. The amount of support and everything really sets the mark for what I think is going to happen this season. So tell your friends about it. If you guys like the show or whatever, tell your friends. It's going to be good. If you're not doing anything on Wednesday nights around 9:30, tune in. Central Time, by the way. But if you made it this far, we want to say thank you for listening all the way through. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Pigskin Project. I do want to say, so just a recap for what we have scheduled for next week. I'm going to make a bracket for what we had for the standings for every single team and, go over it. I think I have the Jets in the playoffs for some reason. So just a heads up, along with, weekly predictions and, recapping what's been going on in the league. We got a big week ahead of us for football, I believe. So stay tuned. Much more is going on as well. Tune in next Wednesday. Make sure you subscribed or following us on all platforms. Like I said, tell your friends about it. Get them to follow. It's going to be a fun ride this season. We'd like to give a big thank you to Anchor.fm for helping us put out this podcast on all platforms. Uppercuts Grooming, Regional Radio Sports Network, and Overtime Sports Network, that Ben is pointing up to right now. Just for helping us promote it. Please leave a review down below. Leave us a little comment. Just letting us know how we're doing. If you guys want anything specifically, let us know. It helps us more than you know. And that's it for this week. So thanks again for tuning in to the Pigskin Project. We'll see you guys.